Good morning, my dear student friends. Today we will discuss about agents of cross pollination. Already in the previous classes we have discussed about different type of pollination: self pollination, autogamy, heterogamy, cross pollination or xenogamy. Now today we will discuss about agents of cross pollination. So what is cross pollination? First tell me, what is cross pollination? Regard xenogamy. Cross pollination is the transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma of another flower born in different plant. This is one plant, one flower is there, maybe male or female, whatever that may be, no problem. Similarly, another plant, another plant, female, this is the female, this is male flower, this is female flower, and the male reproductive part, already in the previous classes we have discussed, the male reproductive part is the stamen, and the stamen's important part is anther, where the pollen grains are produced and the pollen grains are released. After release of pollen grain has to reach at the stigma. That is called pollination, transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma. And when pollen grains are transferred from anther to stigma, some agents are required. That agent may be air. With the help of air it can be transported, air current, or the agent may be water. With the help of water the pollen grains can transfer to the stigma, or with the help of some animals like birds and insects also can transfer the pollen grain from anther to stigma. So what are the agents? Agents are those living or non-living components which helps in transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma in cross pollination. These are called agents of cross pollination. And in the agents of cross pollination, you never find only living. There is living, animals are involved, and some non-living, air and water are also involved. So that's why agents of cross pollination are two types. Some are living, some are non-living. The non-living are called abiotic, whereas living are called as a biotic. First we will discuss about that, what are the agents, air, water, animal, whatever that may be. So now it is clear what is agent. Agent means any living or non-living component which helps in transfer of pollen grain from anther to the stigma. But these agents are required only in two type of pollination. Already we have discussed three type of pollination. One is self pollination. Under self pollination, one is autogamy, another is heterogamy, and cross pollination is xenogamy. But if you look at the agents of pollination are required in xenogamy. Xenogamy means cross pollination. In cross pollination it is always required. In cross pollination there is no doubt, always it is required. But in self pollination it is not always required. In case of self pollination, only in case of heterogamy it is required. Heterogamy. And what is heterogamy? Already we have discussed in the self pollination part. The transfer of pollen grain from anther to stigma of another flower, but born in a single plant. In heterogamy single plant is involved, but in xenogamy different plant are involved. But in case of heterogamy, no doubt there is a single plant, but two different flowers are involved. So that's why there is a requirement of agent of pollination. So that's why agents of pollination are required in xenogamy and heterogamy. Two type of pollination. In autogamy it is not required. So that's why in another short note also we have discussed in cleistogamous flower there is no dependence on pollinating agent. Pollinating agent are not required in autogamy, and autogamy is invariably occurs in case of cleistogamous flower. So that's why cleistogamous flower do not need these agents. So now come to the agents. So first, the agents of cross pollination are categorized into two groups. One is abiotic agent of cross pollination, another is a biotic agent of cross pollination. Two type of agents. And what is Abiotic means non-living agent of cross pollination. Biotic means living agent of cross pollination. And if you compare abiotic and biotic agent, which one is used maximum by plants? If you compare abiotic and biotic are non-living, mainly air and water. If you take example, in case of abiotic component, the abiotic agents which are involved in the pollination, first is wind or air, another is water. These two are the abiotic agent mainly which are used, wind and water. These two are used as abiotic agent. Similarly, if you come to biotic agent, biotic mainly animals. In case of biotic agents, mainly animals are involved. Animal. No other organism. Bacteria cannot be used. Bacteria is also living, but bacteria cannot be used because bacteria are smaller than pollen grain. They cannot be used. What is the size of pollen grain? I had already told you. It is 25 to 50 micron, but bacteria are 3 to 5 micron, maximum 5. So that's why bacteria are smaller. Clear? They will die if pollen grain will hit them. So that's why bacteria cannot transfer. So only abiotic and biotic. Abiotic under abiotic water and air and water, and under biotic that is animals. And different kind of animals are involved under this. Different kind of animals. And already you know, study of animal is known as a zoology. So that's why this animal pollination is called as a zoophily. Animal pollination is called as a zoophily. Similarly, if you come to wind pollination, first wind pollination is called as anemophily. All of you know what is anemometer. Anemometer is used to measure the wind velocity of wind. From that wind, this anemo word comes. Anemo means related to wind. If pollination takes place by abiotic agent wind, if wind helps in pollination, that is called as anemophily. If water helps in pollination, that is called as hydrophily. So hydrophily and anemophily. Anemophily is pollination by wind, hydrophily is pollination by water, zoophily is pollination by animals. But if we compare the two agents, abiotic agent and biotic agent, in case of abiotic agent, there is a less surety in pollination. The chance of pollination, the pollination in abiotic agent is a chance factor. There may be pollination or not, because the wind and water having no life. They have no life. The wind can move in north direction. After some time, it can move in south direction where plants are absent. So that's why there is not 100% surety in case of abiotic agents. So that's why most of the plant do not prefer the abiotic agent. So what is the reason why abiotic agents are not frequently used by plants? Because abiotic agent, in case of abiotic agent, there is no surety in pollination. Surety or chance of pollination is very less because wind can flow in any direction. Similarly, water, the speed of water varies in different parts, and water is not available in all parts. All plants are not related to water. They are not, all plants of the earth are not connected with water. So abiotic agents are less frequently used. If question comes, which agent is more used, biotic or abiotic? The biotic agents are maximum used agent, whereas abiotic agents are rarely used. You have to remember, abiotic agents are rarely used, but biotic agents are maximum used. And under again abiotic agent, you find two agents, wind and water. If you compare wind and water, abiotic is rare. Again, among these two, between these two, this one is again rare. Water is rare. Water is rarely used and wind is maximum used. So if question comes, out of biotic and abiotic, which one is maximum used? It is biotic. Among the abiotic agents, which one is majorly used? That is wind. Wind pollination is called anemophily, water pollination is called hydrophily, and pollination by biotic agents, mainly animal, is called zoophily because zoo means animal. Again, different animals are involved here. According to different type of animal, again different type of pollination are there. And among animals, insects are the maximum. Insects. It is observed 80% of pollination is carried out by insects. 70 to 80% of pollination is carried out by insect only. And the study of insect is known as entomology. That's why this pollination is called entomophily. Entomophily. These are the 1 mark question. Very important, you have to remember. Sometimes direct question comes, what is entomophily? Just like anemophily is pollination by wind, hydrophily is pollination by water, the pollination by insect is called as entomophily. Not only insects are involved. 80% is carried out by insects, but some other agents. One by one we will discuss. Second, another sometimes birds are used. Birds. When bird is used, it is called ornithophily. 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 Similarly, sometimes bat are used. Bat. When bat is used, it is called chiropterophily. Chiropterophily. Similarly, sometimes mollusks are used. Mollusca, just like snail and slugs. That is called malacophily. Malacophily. So these are the common animal agents which helps in cross pollination. Insects, birds, bat, mollusca. These are the common agents in case of animals which are used in case of pollination, in cross pollinating plants. So now one by one we will discuss. First we will start with this anemophily, then hydrophily, then by animals. And under animal we will discuss mainly insects. So agent, small description about different agents completed. Now we will move towards the detailed description of each type of pollination. So cross pollination are different types according to agent. According to agents, cross pollination are different types. If question comes, explain the different types of pollination according to cross pollinating agent. You can write anemophily, hydrophily, entomophily, ornithophily in case of birds. So first we will start with the anemophily. Anemophily. Direct 1 mark question comes, or sometime direct short note 2 mark question will come. So you have to remember. So first, what is anemophily? Definition is not required. Pollination by wind. Pollination by wind is known as anemophily. Wind pollination is called as anemophily. And wind pollination is common among the abiotic agents because water is rare. It is the common pollinating agent under abiotic, not biotic. Among abiotic, it is the common. And it is observed in case of wind pollination. All of you know, wind cannot flow in one direction. Just you can feel in your garden or any place in our earth, at the surface of earth, the wind never flows in one direction. Wind are random. For example, let two plants are there. This is one plant with flower. This is another plant with flower. So this plant is present left of this plant. This is left plant, this is the right plant. Okay. If the two plants want to pollinate, left pollen grain is produced by this plant, left plant, and it has to reach at the right plant. So here, how wind will help? If wind flow in this direction, if wind flows in left to right, then pollen grain can reach at the right plant and pollination takes place. If wind will flow in this direction, what will happen? Pollen grain will reach at that place where plants are absent because plants are only present in the right side. So that's why in case of wind pollination, not only wind pollination, in case of abiotic agent, there is maximum wastage of pollen grain. So wastage of pollen grain takes place. Wastage of pollen grain. Sometimes question comes, wastage of pollen grain takes place maximum by which agent? That is abiotic agent. And under abiotic agent, air and water. So that's why mainly abiotic pollinating plants, those plants which are pollinated by wind or water, they produce large quantity of pollen grain, large quantity. So second important character in anemophily, there is a production of large quantity, production of large number of pollen grain. Very important feature, large number of pollen grain. Why large number of pollen grain is produced in case of anemophily? If large number of pollen grain will produce, then if wind flows in this direction, then pollen grain will reach. If it will not flow in opposite direction, it will flow in opposite direction, there is wastage of pollen grain. Still some amount of pollen grain will remain even after wastage. If there is a large number, even after wastage small amount will remain. If they will produce small from the beginning, what will happen? There will be dangerous situation, because if wind flow in opposite direction and there is a small amount, all will waste. But if there is a large amount of pollen grain, then even after wastage some amount will be available for the plant for pollination. That is the reason why large number of pollen grain are produced. So this question directly comes in entrance as well as in your board exam. Why in case of wind or water pollination large number of pollen grains are produced? Because in this case there is a maximum wastage, because they are abiotic agents and they do not know in which direction they have to flow. They can change their direction of movement. So that's a large number of production. As there is a large number of pollen grain, they are very small in size. Always remember, if production is large, any case, if production is large, the size will be small. Size definitely will be small. When there is a production, more production, the size will be less. So that's why the second case, there is small size pollen grain, small size pollen grain. Due to small size, their weight is also less. So that's why lightweight. So large number of pollen grain are produced in wind pollination. Small size pollen grain are produced. Third is lightweight. This lightweight is very important. Why lightweight? Because of small size they are lightweight, and this lightweight provide another advantage. Because of lightweight they cannot settle. If their weight become heavy, they will settle down and they will fall on the ground. They cannot be transported by air. And what is the function of air? Air, with the help of air, only that pollen grain will move which are light. So that's why airplanes, jet planes, those which are light. So that's why in case of planes, the more weight is not allowed. You can take a limited amount of substance inside that. Similarly, in case of anemophily, the light weight is very important. If weight become light, the movement in the air will be easier. So that's why pollen grain should be light in weight, large number, small size, light in weight, and non-sticky. Non-sticky. The pollen grain should be non-sticky. Non-sticky means they should not stick to any surface. If they will stick, let the pollen grain are produced and they are stick to this board. Then if they will stick to the board, how they will move with the help of air? So that's why wind can only helps in movement of pollen grain, those pollen grains which are non-sticky. Non-sticky means those pollen grains which cannot stick. Those pollen grains which are separate, easily separable from the plant. If they will stick to the plant, then they cannot be transported to another plant. Clear? So that's why light in weight and non-sticky. So these are the important features about pollen grain you have to remember. Pollen grain should be large number, small size, light in weight, non-sticky. All are related. No need to rotting these things. So first you have to remember large number, due to large number, small size, due to small size, lightweight, and a non-sticky because they have to move from one place to other place. Another important thing here, flowers are colorless. Color is not required. Colorless. There is no color. Color is not required. Why color is not required? Because air or wind, these are non-living abiotic agents, and abiotic agents do not get attracted by color. You cannot attract air by color. You cannot attract air by fragrance. Clear? Air cannot be attracted towards anyone. They are random. They can move in any direction. You can attract one bird by giving food. What the plants do? Plants produce fruits. So that's why birds get attracted towards fruit to collect the fruit. Similarly, some insects, the insect like honeybee, the nectar, the sweet solution is prepared, sweet sugar solution is prepared, nectar by the plant, and the plant attract the insect, and the insect get attracted towards the plant and they collect the nectar. So, but in this case, they are not insects or they are not animals. So that's why anemophily, in case of anemophily or wind pollination, the flowers are colorless. Color is not required. Color is attracting agent. So that's why generally flowers which are pollinated by wind, they are colorless and without nectar. The flowers are colorless and the flowers are without nectar. Without nectar. Nectar is a sugar solution produced by plant flower. So nectar, they are without nectar. Nectar gland is absent or nectar is absent. So that's why these are the important feature. Another important feature with respect to wind pollination. Wind pollination, in case of wind pollination, the stigma is branched and brachy. If you come to the stigma, what is the stigma? Already we have discussed. It is the receptive part of pollen grain. The pollen grain is received by the stigma, and it is the upper part of female reproductive system, the carpel or pistil. This part is called stigma. Stigma style ovary, and the pollen grain reach at this surface. But the stigma is not like this in these plants. It is a normal plant, general plant. I am showing a general plant stigma. But in case of anemophily, some modification takes place. These are changed. And what is the change? In case of anemophily, the stigma is feathery, brachy, branched or brachy, brush-like, branched or brachy like this. For example, you can take like this. This is the ovary. Stigma, this is the style portion, this is the ovary. And the stigma is branched. The stigma branched like this in both sides. This is the branched stigma. Actually, this upper part is stigma. This stigma is modified and branched. So branched brachy stigma. Direct 1 mark question comes. Branched and brachy stigma found in case of which pollination? That is anemophily. Branched or brachy stigma and or protruding means which can easily come out outside. They are exposed to outside. Protruding stigma. Branched, brachy or protruding, sometimes it is also called feathery stigma. Feathery stigma because of branching they appear like feather of a bird. The feather like structure appears. So that's why sometimes it is called feathery stigma. So these are the important features in case of anemophily. In case of anemophily, you find these important features. And sometimes what happens, in case of anemophily, if flowers are small, flowers are generally large. If small flowers are present, small flower, the small flower group together to form a structure known as inflorescence. This is one flower, single flower. The single flower will produce very small number of pollen grain. Instead, a large flower will produce large number of pollen grain. So, what is the difference between a small flower and large flower? Small flower will produce small amount of pollen grain, large flower will produce large number of pollen grain. But in case of wind pollination, already we have discussed, there is a requirement of large number of pollen grain. So that's why, if a flower is small, many small flower group together. बहुत सारे small flower क्या करेंगे? Group हो जाएंगे. And this group of small flower give appearance like a large flower. It is called inflorescence. What is called? Inflorescence. So inflorescence you have to remember. Inflorescence, no one will ask you what is inflorescence. Only remember inflorescence is a group of flower. If question will come, in case of anemophily, inflorescence is seen or not? Inflorescence is seen in case of anemophily because if the flower is small, there is requirement of large amount of pollen grain. To compensate the pollen grain, there is a requirement of large number of flowers together. That is called inflorescence. Clear? And inflorescence can be male, female or bisexual. Both type of flower can be present. Single type of flower can be present, or both can be present. Okay. But now come to example. Example of this anemophily. Anemophily is quite common in grasses. Very important question. Frequently asked in NEET. The wind pollination is quite common in grasses. Example, if you come to example of wind pollination, it is quite common in grasses. In addition to grasses, it is common in MBBS. MBBS means maize, bamboo. Another is sugar cane. These are common example. With bamboo, you can also add barley, or only bamboo you remember. So cereals, mainly rice, wheat, maize, cereals plant. So maize is the most common, maize and grass, at least you remember. So anemophily is quite common in grasses. Very frequently asked question, grasses and maize. Maize is also a type of cereal. Clear? So in case of maize, you can find maize or corn. The common name is corn. Gia maize, scientific name. So in case of maize, you find this type of inflorescence. Inflorescence you can find. Inflorescence. If you look at the maize, in case of maize, these are the branches. In case of maize, the male and female inflorescence are separate. Male inflorescence are found at the top. This is the group of flower. Group of flower is called inflorescence. The male inflorescence, this is the male inflorescence. Male inflorescence. Male inflorescence. And a female inflorescence is present here. Female. This is the female. Only female flower are packed here. Male flower are packed here. Female flower are packed here. This is the female inflorescence. Sometime one more question comes. Male inflorescence and female inflorescence of maize present where? If question comes male inflorescence present, male inflorescence is present at the top, terminal. It is terminal in position. Terminal. Terminal means last, top point. Top point, terminal point. So male inflorescence are terminal, but female inflorescence are axial. This place is called axial. Axial. Axial means the angle of stem and branch. This is the main stem, this is the branch. Between stem and branch in the angle, there is female inflorescence. So female inflorescence are axial, male inflorescence are terminal. Sometimes direct question comes. Male inflorescence of maize. Male inflorescence of maize are found at which part? Terminal. Female inflorescence are axial. Another important thing you can mark in case of maize. This maize plant. Maize, all of you seen corn. In case of maize, you can find their flower is like this. You can find a structure that's covered by different covering, and some hair-like structure arises at this. These are called tassels. Tassels of maize. These are called tassels. Tassels of maize. And these tassels of maize move with the help of air. With the help of air, they can move so wavy motion. Clear? They can flow or move with the help of air. Not they separate at the same place. They can wave. This wave motion. So these tassels, these are nothing. The stigma, feathery stigma, hair-like stigma, hairy or feathery stigma, which helps in absorption of pollen grain. It can take the pollen grain and pollination can take place. So these are all about your anemophily. Anemophily complete. First, pollinating agent. Under abiotic agent, first pollinating agent, anemophily complete. Next, we will move towards second, abiotic agent. Already we have discussed out of two abiotic agents, which one is more common? Among two agents, the wind pollinating agent are the common. Wind pollinating are common, and water hydrophily is rare. Hydrophily. Next come to hydrophily. So anemophily complete. Next is hydrophily. Hydrophily. Hydrophily means pollination by water. Pollination by water, and it is rare among all. Among the abiotic agents also it is rare. And hydrophily, in case of hydrophily, what you find? The pollen grains are also small size pollen grains, small size pollen grain. What is the reason? We have discussed already. Because maximum wastage of pollen grain takes place because water sometimes move in that direction where plants are absent. So small size pollen grain and sometimes ribbon shaped pollen grain are found. Ribbon shaped. This is also important. Ribbon shaped pollen grain. Why ribbon shaped pollen grain is important? If you look at the water pollination, like this is the surface of water. In a pond or river, you can find water. Let water is present. If pollen grain become ribbon-like, ribbon means flat, a thread-like, then it can easily move with the help of water current. If it become other structures, become three-dimensional or other structure, it can make it will be difficult for the pollen grain to move. So that's why most of the aquatic animals, you find fishes, they are flat. The flat structure, fish body is flat, snake is flat. So this flat structure helps to move inside the water. So that's why hydrophily. In case of hydrophily, you find ribbon-like pollen grain. And another important thing, in case of water pollination, the pollen grains are covered by, they are ribbon-like this, and covered by a mucilage sheath, mucous covering. A mucilage sheath, a special chemical called as a mucilage sheath. Mucilage sheath Sheath means covering. Sheath means covering. They are covered by mucilage sheath. What is the function of this mucilage sheath? Mucilage sheath will protect the pollen grain from water. They will be protected from the water because of wetting. So because if water will remain in contact for more time, then there will be deterioration of the quality of the pollen grain. So that's why the mucilage cover is there to protect the pollen grain in case of water pollination or hydrophily. These hydrophily are again categorized into two groups. Hydrophily is of two types. One is called epihydrophily, another is called hypohydrophily. Epihydrophily, another is called hypohydrophily. Hypohydrophily. What is the difference between epi? Epi means above, hypo means below. This is the water. Okay. In a river or pond, whatever you can take. This is the top or surface. This is the bottom part. Okay. If pollen grain is transferred, one pollen grain is floating on the surface. This is the surface of water. If pollen grain is transferred on the surface and reach at the stigma on the surface only, that is called as epihydrophily. This type of pollination is called epihydrophily. If pollen grain is transferred below the water surface, below, not at the surface, below the water means submerged condition, that is called hypo. So epihydrophily takes place on the surface of water. It takes place in a submerged condition. Submerged means below the water surface, submerged condition, that is called hypohydrophily. And example you have to remember. Example is important for entrance, not for your board. So that's why you can remember. You cannot, if you cannot remember, then there is no problem also. So one is hydrilla and valisneria. Hydrilla and valisneria. Two plant helps in epihydrophily. Epihydrophily takes place here. Example of hypohydrophily, najas. These are common example of different type of water pollination. Hydrophily, and hydrophily is the rarest. So two types abiotic agent we have completed. One is air, another is water. Anemophily and hydrophily. Now come to next biotic agents. Biotic agents of cross pollination. Under biotic agents already we have discussed animals are involved, and under animal pollination is called zoophily. And under zoophily, maximum pollination takes place by insects. It is called entomophily. So what is entomophily? Pollination by insects. Pollination by insects is known as entomophily. And 70 to 80% of pollination takes place by insects. And what are the common insects which are involved? Already you know different type of insects. Wasps, bee means honeybee, butterflies. These are the common agents. Many beetle, another is beetle, many others. So these are the common insects which are involved in pollination. Moth, wasp, bee, butterfly. But bee are the dominant pollinating agent. These are the dominant. Sometimes question comes, among the insects which shows maximum, that is bee. Entomophily is maximum. Again, under entomophily, different insects are there. Out of all the insects, bee are the dominant biotic agent. These are the dominant biotic pollinating agent. Insects are the dominant biotic pollinating agent. And important features, if you come to the entomophily, the entomophilous flowers are colorful. So now come to characteristic of entomophily. The flowers are conspicuous and colored. Conspicuous and colored flower are found. In case of entomophily, conspicuous and colored. Conspicuous means a large. Inconspicuous means a small. In case of your wind pollination, anemophily, there is inconspicuous small flowers. So that's why they group together to form inflorescence, large. But here it is always conspicuous. Conspicuous means large, easily visible. Conspicuous and a colored flower are found. Colored flower. Conspicuous and a colored flower. This is important. Conspicuous and a colored flower. Why colored flower is important in case of entomophily? because to attract the insects are living, already you have discussed, air and water are aquatic, but insects are living, and one living organism can be attracted towards color. So that's why flowers are colorful. The conspicuous and a colored flower are present, in which case, sometimes direct question comes, it is in case of entomophily to attract insect. So why colored flower is required? To attract insects. Attracts insect. When insect get attracted, then their body come in contact with the pollen grain. For example, like this is a plant. This is a plant. If the flower is present here, flower will attract the insect. The insects are attracted towards the color, and when one insect will come to the flower, the body of the insect get touched with the pollen grain. So that's why pollen grain get attached to their body, and the insect when move, the pollen grain will be transferred from one flower to other flower. So that's why the conspicuous and colored flower is important in case of insect pollination. Second important thing, the pollen grain. The pollen grain are sticky in nature, sticky pollen grain. Already about non-sticky we have discussed. The pollen grain are non-sticky in case of wind pollination, because if they become sticky, they will attach to the any surface and they cannot be transferred with the help of air. But these are sticky. Why these are sticky? The pollen grain of insect pollination. Let this is the pollen grain. Already we have discussed in the pollen grain class. The pollen grain is covered by two covering. Outer covering is exine, inner covering is intine. In addition to these two covering, the above the exine, outer to the exine, there is another yellowish sticky covering. In case of entomophily pollen grain, in case of entomophilous pollen grain, those plants which are pollinated by insects, their pollen grain is covered by yellowish sticky covering known as a pollen kit. You have to remember, direct question comes, what is pollen kit? What is pollen kit? Pollen kit is an yellowish sticky substance, an yellowish sticky substance, sticky substance covering the exine of pollen grain. Due to this covering, they become sticky and it can easily attach to the insect. When one insect will come to the flower, when one insect will this is the insect will come to the flower, then this sticky substance which help in attachment to the body of the insect, the insect body get attached, because insect have no hand, they cannot take like this human. Pollen grain cannot be taken with the help of the hand of insects. They will attach to the body of the insect due to sticky nature, and when insect will move, the pollen grain will move with the help of insect. Similarly, another sticky part is present in the stigma. The stigma will absorb that. So that's why pollen grain can be transferred to the anther, to the stigma with the help of insect. So colored flower. And another important feature in case of this entomophily or insect pollination, flowers are colorful and with nectar. Flowers are with nectar. Flowers are with nectar. Flowers produce nectar. Nectar means a sugar solution from a nectar gland. One nectary gland is there. Nectary gland produce nectar from nectary gland. There is a nectary gland in case of plants. In case of this type of flowers, entomophilous flower, this nectary gland produce nectar, and this nectar is a sugar solution which attract these insects. So that's why insects get attracted to collect the nectar, because it is the food for the insect. Insect will collect. So that's why honeybee make honey from this. You get honey from the honeybee because of this nectar. Nectar is a sugar solution. They honeybee collect the nectar and they change this nectar into honey. So that's why we are able to get the honey from the honeybee. This is the reason. So nectar, they produce nectar. And another important thing, the flowers or plants provide some reward to the insects for continuous visit. Just like this color helps in attracting insects. Some insects get attracted because of food. So that's why some plants some flower produce edible sap, edible sap and edible pollen. Edible sap and edible pollen. What is edible sap? Sap is a solution. Sap is nothing. You remember, sap is a solution. Sap is a solution. Just like sugar solution, nectar. It is also a type of solution. Edible sap and edible pollen. The pollen grain, already in the pollen grain class we have discussed, pollen grain is rich in nutrients. Inside pollen grain many nutrients are also there, just like starch, carbohydrate, protein, fat. So edible sap and edible means eatable. So the insect get attracted towards the flower because of these two also. One is edible sap and edible pollen. तो जो हम हिंदी में बोल सकते हैं खाने का युक्त, क्लियर, खाने के लिए जो सुटेबल है, तो एडिबल पोलन एंड एडिबल सैप खाने के लिए वो इम्पोर्टेंट है. तो एडिबल सैप एंड एडिबल पोलन, द प्लांट प्रोड्यूस एडिबल सैप एंड एडिबल पोलन. द पोलन, टू कंज्यूम द पोलन ग्रेन, द इंसेक्ट आर आल्सो गेट अट्रैक्टेड. नाउ वन डाउट कम्स इन योर माइंड. तो पोलन ग्रेन्स आर बोर्न फॉर ट्रांसफर. If an insect will eat the pollen grain, then what is the benefit of the plant? No, not like that. In case of the Entomophilus, pollen grain is not single produced. Pollen grains are large quantity. No doubt pollen grains are very less as compared to wind pollination. In case of wind pollination, there is very large number. But here also still there is a large number. But it is less as compared to wind. But it is not less that one insect will consume all. There is also large number of pollen grain. But as compared to wind it is less. Clear? And out of this large amount of pollen grain, insect can consume only few. What is the size of insect? Very small. So insect can eat only 1 to 2 and other pollen grains can be transferred by the insect. So that's why edible sap and edible pollen grain also produced by the insect pollinating plants to provide to the insect. So that's why if question comes how insects get attracted towards the plants which are pollinated by the insect because of their large size, color, edible sap, edible pollen. Another important thing. Now question comes. Okay, one insect is attracted towards color due to red color. Some flowers are red, some flowers are yellow, and this color is only visible during daytime. If one insect move in the day, then it can attracted by the color. But you can find in your nature some flowers bloom during night. So night blooming flower, there is a problem in case of night blooming flower. Night blooming flower or those flowers which open during night, just like jasmine, night jasmine. It is called Raat Ki Rani, night jasmine plant. So some plants bloom at the night time. And in case of night blooming flower, what happens? At the night time, the color is not visible. What will happen at that time? In case of night blooming flower, what happens? In case of night blooming flower, the flower produce a special fragrance. Fragrance means a sweet smell. A fragrance is produced. That fragrance helps to attract the insect. For example, this is a flower and one insect is present here. This is the insect. The insect cannot recognize this flower because it is a dark time, night time. In the dark time, the flower cannot be seen by the insect. But if this flower will produce a scent, there is a fragrance or scent, we can say. There is a production of scent or fragrance, sweet smell. Then with the help of air, the scent can move. With the help of air, the scent can move and towards the scent the insect get attracted and it catch pollination. So that's why night blooming flower, this is very important. One more question comes. In case of night blooming flower, the scent or fragrance attract the insect for pollination. And another important, in case of flies, just like your Musca domestica, house flies. In case of flies, the flower attract the flies because of offensive smell. Some insects are attracted towards scent or fragrance is the sweet smell. It is the offensive, bad smell, very bad. Because these flies are only organisms which are attracted towards offensive smell. So all insects are not attracted towards good smell. So some insects like flies, they attracted towards offensive smell. They like the offensive odor. Clear? Fetid odor. Offensive. Clear? So that's why some flies are also attracted towards this offensive smell. And some example you have to remember in this. Example is not important to remember, you can remember for entrance. One is fig and wasp. Fig is a plant. Fig is pollinated by wasps. Wasp is the insect. Wasp is the insect. This insect get attracted towards fig because of its fruit. It's a fruit, it provides fruit. The fruits are eaten by this insect. So that's why insect goes and eat the fruit and helps in pollination. Another is salvia. Salvia. In case of salvia plant, salvia is a plant. In case of salvia plant, a special mechanism is found known as a lever or turnpike. Turnpike mechanism. Lever or turnpike mechanism. What is lever or turnpike? It is not important. Only I am telling you. You can refer anytime. So, in case of salvia plant, there is a bilabiate corolla. Bilabiate corolla. What is corolla? Already we have discussed. After calyx, the second part of flower is called corolla. Let this is a flower. First part is calyx, sepal. Second part is corolla. Bilabiate. Bilabiate means two leaf-like structures are present. Labiate means leaf. Bi means two. Two leaf-like structures are present. And in this case, the stamens are present like this. Stamen. This is the anther part. Pollen grains are produced. Okay. And this anther, this filament is attached to this corolla part, bilabiate corolla. So what happens when one insect comes? Let this is the insect. When one insect enters, the leg of the insect or body part, they press the labiate, this corolla part. When it will press, what will happen? This anther will bend. It is just like lever mechanism. You can find in case of bike spoke. What happens? Let you can imagine. Let these two are connected. These two are connected like this. If I will press this one, what will happen? The upper one also move along with this. Let it is present like this. If I will press this one will move. So similar thing happen here. When one insect will enter and insect body will press here, then this part will move. And when this part will move, what will happen? Now insect is here. When insect will enter, so first the leg of the insect will press this one, so that this part will move towards the body of the insect. And the body of insect get attached with the pollen grain because pollen grain is produced by this part. And it will enter and collect the food. Again it will come out. When come out, insect will come out. Then the body of the insect already get attached with the pollen grain. So this is called lever or turnpike mechanism. Then that insect will move to another flower and cause pollination in different plants. Okay. So this is all about different type of cross pollinating agent. Thank you.